so smart. You don't think an illegal immigrant has ever voted in the presidential federal election?
Probably not.
Oh!
I don't want to watch that one. I wanted to watch. Must be this one.
Former political views were cult-like. Can the agreeers please step forward?
I even know which one I'm watching at this point. Hey, yo, why is very
I was
massive?
gonna say, I think both are just two separate cults, because which is so funny. And I think also sides have like ironically kind of switched, because as a Republican now, I'm like so anti-war. I'm anti-sending money to all these different countries that are not ours, while people are sick from the water and children are starving. Anti-pharmaceutical, anti-big government, anti all these things. And I'm like, that is original liberalism. So I'm like, I think I'm more like independent, but I register and I vote as far right as I possibly can and always will.
I think both sides are very tribal.
Yeah.
But in terms of cult, at this moment in time, I think the left is more cult-like. I was in it for 20 years, what's known today as the woke left, but we used to call it social justice left, progressive left.
Known by conservatives as woke.
Right, but here are some of the characteristics that I think make it
Woke
more
left.
cult-like than perhaps the conservative side. One is that if you had questions, you had to check your privilege, or there was always some line that they would use to get you to stop asking questions, which is sort of cult-like. And then the other thing was there was this encouragement to separate from people who didn't agree with you. And so I slowly over time like whittled my world down to...
What this fucking bitch started yapping? What is a cult? This search up the Google definition. A system of religious veneration and devotion directed towards a particular figure or object. And my point right here, I can say that the government is your religious and devotion towards it. You pay taxes, so you do. You work, you're employed, you get money, you buy property, and you never own the property because there's something called a property tax. You're always under something. So technically, you're still just not religious. So, but let's figure out what is religion. Because I believe that you guys are creating a religion. The belief in and worship of superhuman power or powers, especially gods or gods. Well, you are creating one in this woke culture that I hate. Conservative for life.
to just people who were in the social justice left. And there was really, for people who left, which I did eventually, which was a long process, it's a bit like you become an apostate. You don't just leave or have different opinions. It's like once you leave, you can't come back.
That is a cult. It's like Scientology.
Well, I have perspective because I came from a really religious background, and there's a lot of shame around believing something other than what you're taught. Because of that, it makes you feel like you can't express any questions without being told that you're going to hell, you're going to be exiled from your family. And so when I started thinking a little bit outside of the lines of what I was always told, family members literally to this day will not speak to me, will not look at me in family gatherings where you're just supposed to be like, you're my family, aren't you supposed to love me endlessly? And in turn, they've exiled me because...
Yeah, but if you killed someone, would you love them endlessly? Or not? Love is an internal...
I don't believe the things that they believe.
And I think that's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
By
agreed.
the way,
Agreed,
I
yeah.
am ironically like pretty far known as far right in my community, and then ironically very leftist at times because you can't please everyone. But I have never cut off a person because of their political beliefs in my life, but everyone on the left did it to me.
I will say from my own experience, but coming from the opposite. So, especially when the George Floyd incidents were happening, it was kind of, you know, a consensus that you should be BLM, rah, 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 all cops are bad. And just me questioning that within my own circles, it's like there's a lot of pushback and it feels a little awkward because I'm just, you know, it's literally just asking questions. If I did have to, you know, point a finger, I would point it at the left or the liberals for feeling attacked by words that are said on the other side. Because there's not a lot of, you know, conservatives that are like, oh, you said there's more genders, I'm offended. I'm personally attacked by that.
That's literally only one side.
Yeah, it is.
Can the disagreeers please step forward?
I honestly think that both sides have very tribalistic tendencies at a time. As far as
Destiny?
the question, like, were my beliefs personally cult-like? I don't think that I was in a cult. And I mean, even I think you mentioned that like conservatives don't get offended by speech as much, but conservatives get offended by pronouns. They got offended by Mr. Potato Head. They get offended by all
I agree.
kinds.
Really stupid things.
Yeah, they get very triggered also. And
Yeah,
for
they
me,
do.
when I left the right, that was something I noticed because I started off as like anti-SJW, triggered feminist stuff, and I'm like, the right is kind of becoming this way too a little bit with some things, like very offended and triggered.
I would like to push back a little bit about conservatives being offended by pronouns. I think it's more so that they are being forced and to acquiesce to the pronouns of other people, which is, you know, a form of, you know, controlling speech.
Well, don't conservatives get really mad like when the whole pronouns and bio thing? They're
No,
like,
like,
oh, look, you have pronouns.
I get what both of you are saying, because my thing is like, why would I ever care if you have pronouns in bio, but I will never call you by
I think
them.
it's more that people just view it as a tribal signifier. So in the same way that someone might view, oh, that person has a cross in their profile.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've definitely, like, if I see pronouns in someone's bio, I'll roll my eyes. It doesn't mean that I, like, hate the person or not, but it is going to signify to me, in 95% of cases, I'm going to know exactly what a
I know exactly
host...
Besides me, I got him in my bio, buddy. She slash him. I'm a god.
Because someone has pronouns in their bio.
Because I'm not going to participate in your delusion. And my thing is, like, you'll never meet a Republican that uses pronouns. It's just a fact. It's only
Everybody
the left.
uses pronouns. Just
Everyone
some people choose to
uses-
announce
Okay, well, my
their
pronouns now for the rest of the time are pretty princess.
That's
and if
not
you
a
didn't-
pronoun.
What do you mean?
Those are not even pronouns.
Okay, so what are your
That's
zizay,
grammatic.
them, zer, he, she?
Yeah, I think
Great.
that pronoun...
Pause. Sorry. I want to pull it back to cult.
Yes.
Okay?
Circling back to the cult idea.
You're dick riding. Cooking. She was
we
cooking,
kind of
bruh.
strayed and went to pronouns,
Dick
which I
eating,
think
bruh.
is, again, it's like a kind of a hot topic. The media really makes you believe that one side is more of a cult than the other. That's all subjective. Some of the people that are on my side, it's cultish, but it doesn't mean everyone is.
Well, let me give you an example, like, because I agree with you that the media is fomenting these, like, right side, left side cults. 100% I agree with you.
Yeah.
So, like, when I, quote unquote, like, left the left, it was because I had begun to question the policies that were surrounding the whole COVID situation. And I experienced cultishness on the left and the right, for sure. But what I found was, if there were people who were willing to listen to me, they were like 95% of the time they were on the right. About, like, I think the government is trying to control us. I think that they're trying to force us to do XYZ things. I only found ears on the right, except in maybe one or two cases. So, like, for me, I was like when the prompt is like, oh, the left is, or your former side is a cult. That was very visceral to me. There was a section of the right that I could talk to, and they didn't feel like there was a section of the left.
Well, you can always talk to me about it sometime if you want.
I was gonna say,
I'd be
me
more
too.
than happy to talk
I'm
to you
more
about the
than
COVID
happy to
stuff.
talk
Thank you, my friend.
I think Trump will win the next election.
Hey.
Clap it up for Trump.
Love Trump. I think he's the greatest.
Bro, I gotta vote for Trump. Even though I can't vote for it. But if you're watching this, vote for him, bruh. Clip this chat. Put it up.
And I love him. I've loved him for a long time, personality, everything. I will say, the more they do this witch hunt after him, he just keeps getting more and more popular. And now that we have free speech on Twitter, you cannot deny that people love him. Like, the black community's coming forward. And it's just funny because I love watching them go after him because I think elections at this point are 100% fake and rigged. I just watch him rise in popularity. Huh?
Are you going to think that if he wins?
I mean, with the entire world against you, I'd be shocked. But I just think now it's harder for them to hide it.
Yeah, I mean, I had major TDS for his Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah. A lot of people on the right have it. They were like obsessed with him.
Trump derangement syndrome is a mental condition in which a person has been driven fakely insane due to the dislike of Donald Trump, to the point at which they will abandon all logic and reason. Chat, you guys have TDS? Because what the fuck?
It's the cult thing.
Yeah, it's a cool thing.
I had major Trump derangement syndrome through
Mostly fucking Democrats.
First presidency, except I was a little softer towards it towards the middle of 2020. But even so, I didn't really come around to liking Trump until after he was president. I went totally like Republican in my viewpoints, but I think that like I came around to liking him, unfortunately, after his presidency because I saw what we got next. And so now at this point, I'm voting for Trump in the primary, in the general, God willing.
My life was way better then.
My life was way better.
I could afford things.
I'm concerned that he's going to win as well, and I don't think it's because he's the greatest president we've ever had. I think it's because the Democrats have a branding problem. And I think Trump is a brilliant marketer, and I think he's a brilliant con man, and I think he's done a fabulous job making the case to the people who love him that he's going to do what they want him to do, even though he doesn't. So I think he definitely can win. I think they're both wildly unpopular, both him and Biden.
Totally.
I think that there's not a lot of great options. I think the vast majority of people voting want another option, and I do think that his base has more enthusiasm than the Democratic base does.
I think it's funny you say that because I think that about the right. I think we have the worst branding issue in the world. I think the right is so tacky.
The Republican Party does. Trump does.
Yeah. I think the Republican Party is just so tacky, 20 years behind. But it's funny because I'm watching far left people come onto like my side now, and I'm like, it's starting to shake things up. But it's funny because I think if there was another option between him and the current vegetable we have, and also Kamal is so unpopular, like you just have double trouble with them.
Yeah, the Democrats aren't. They're not putting up a viable option.
No,
I think
RFK I thought was
I think the
amazing.
worst thing that the Democrats did for themselves was like push RFK out of that primary.
Who the fuck is that?
I like him too. And now he's running as an independent.
Who is RFK, chat?
I'd like to start off. I really do hope Trump wins. I think it's for the best interest of America that he does. Unfortunately, I do fully believe that the Democratic Party is a bunch of political terrorists, and I do believe that they will do whatever they can to steal the election. You know, it's a hot take, but from the last election with the ballots, I really don't think they're going to make it
Trump,
easy.
like, called and said to find fake ballots?
I mean, there's a longer call that you could listen to that debunks everything. I mean, he's not going to end up in jail. All of that is just, a hit job. But I do think the Democratic Party would rather die than have him in power, and I think they could do that because people aren't aware about the ballot fraud that's going on.
Just quick on that, on the voter fraud comments that you made. Like, what about yesterday? Sidney Powell just pled guilty to 6 counts of the conspiracy in Georgia against the election there. So that's actual fraud that was committed on the right side for Trump.
There's probably on both sides then, but I would say it's much more in the favor of seeing that, during the election count, they pause it and they, mail in ballots for Joe Biden.
I also think we shouldn't take guilty pleas at face value because the justice system really
that would be believing the rest of the system, which I don't believe any of it. So I guarantee there's fraud on both sides, and it's all
for sure.
And I think it's all corrupt.
Yeah,
I agree.
I don't think he's going to win. I agree with you. I don't trust the last election results, but I actually don't trust any presidential election results since Kennedy. So I don't. I just think. I think I am going to vote because screw them. I'm not gonna allow them to instill apathy in me. But I don't really put a lot of stock in national elections anymore, and I think local is more important. So I think that they probably are gonna not give it to a Republican this time around.
Religion played a part in changing my beliefs.
Join our middle ground Patreon to watch this exclusive prompt.
Shout out Jesus.
Democrats are more compassionate than Republicans.
Fancy meeting you.
Oh.
I was waiting for someone to say something. And you know I hate it. You know I don't want to be sitting here. I will say, I do think the left tends to be more emotional. I would assume that that would come with feelings of empathy. And I will say,
Yeah, kind of.
people on the right,
She's
I'm not actually
one.
very popular on the right. As soon as you disagree on certain things, I mean, the
You're done.
Democrats, the
You're woke.
hate. Yeah. Oh. So you're liberal now, and I'm like,
That's what
and
I
there are
thought.
certain things like abortion's a hot topic. I think it's a little crazy and it's a little too far. I would hope that in the future I become a more middle voice in the Republican Party. But I do find in general, like people on the left, I think because you're more emotional, inherently you're gonna care more about people's feelings. I'm not really one to care that much. That's why I'm on the other side. You know what I mean? But I'll give you guys that credit.
I actually agree with what you're saying a lot because they've even done like literal brain scans and they can actually predict people's political beliefs based on their brains up to like 80 to 90% accuracy. Like it's insane. And so I think, well, you're right that people on the left do tend to think more so. I think it's with their left side of the brain that has more emotion involvement, which can be both a blessing and a curse, I think, at times because
I feel like I'm a pretty emotional guy, and I'm not delusional. Emotion just means you're thinking erratical, so you're admitting to thinking erratical in your left side brain. Your left side brain is all about your feelings and how you're gonna make a decision on your feeling. How you're gonna wake up today. Say you wake up on Monday, you feel good, so you go to work. You wake up on Tuesday, you feel bad, so what? You're not gonna go to work. Doesn't matter about your feeling. You can't make decisions off feeling. It's erratical. Irrational. Oh my god.
because politics are also about factual information, and so feelings are obviously not all that matter. But yeah,
How's feelings factual? Your feelings can fluctuate from everything. Like how did he state a fact about they can predict it when you're born and then change, then he was a conservative, now he's a liberal. So what, you changed your brain? What? You got more emotional? You were more logical before?
Democrats
Just trust me, with that haircut.
tend to be more compassionate at the end of the day.
Yeah, and when I was on the left my whole life, and like I was literally an emo kid. So it's like funny being on this side now. Now I kind of like, I'm a lot more analytical about things. I try to cut the emotion as honestly a survival tactic at this point.
I agree with that too, because for me in my personal journey, it was very close to that. Like my mom used to tell me that. She's like, you have like zero empathy. But I feel like as I went through my journey, not just like transitioning in politics, but just like I went through my own kind of self-discovery journey, and I feel like empathy really came into play there. And as I started to listen to stories from people that had lived experiences, I was like, wow, I really do feel for them and I can put myself in their shoes. And I feel like now I'm even maybe an empath. Like I'm very much.
You can totally gain it and you can totally lose it.
Yeah.
Totally. It's up to you.
Yeah. But I do feel like since that, I feel like, I am so much more compassionate now towards, humanity in general and people. And as I gained empathy, I became more liberal.
I think Democrats are much more concerned with like social programs that help people who aren't themselves. And I think that they often are the leaders of the civil rights movements of our time. And I think those things and leading policy with people first, I think, is a bigger priority for them. And it's not to say that Republicans don't have empathy or compassion. I just don't think it necessarily leads their politics.
Heineken Silver, surprisingly smooth.
So they don't base their politics on empathy and feelings. So what I got from there, from what he just said.
Try it now for a low-carb, smooth and refreshing taste.
Fucking retard.
So, Jonathan Haidt has a great book called The Righteous Mind, which I think everyone on this panel would love it probably. But in that book, he's trying to figure out, I think the subtitle is Why Good People Are Divided by Politics and Religion. And he divides morality up into different types of morality. One of those types, the one that liberals and conservatives have in common, is the care-harm principle. They both care about people. They both don't want people to be harmed. But the difference is that they have different definitions of what's going to harm people and what's caring for people. And I thought that was really interesting. When I started leaving the left, I thought, oh, Republicans don't care about people, that's why they oppose raising the minimum wage. And it wasn't until I started listening to other points of view that I realized, oh, they oppose raising the minimum wage because they think it's going to harm people, because you're going to get fewer hours, fewer workers, people are going to get fired. And so it's not that we disagree, liberals and conservatives, on the why. Like, we agree on that, why we should care for people. We disagree on the how.
I agree with that 100%. Adding more to that is my way of showing compassion would be to tell someone that pick yourself up by your bootstraps. Like, you have more potential, you can do this, as opposed to someone else saying that, okay, the government should step in and, support you and do X, Y, Z for you, which in the grand scheme of things isn't going to benefit that person. It's going to teach them that they can rely on a bigger being to be, their support system. But
Damn.
if you
just thought of this brain thought. To play devil's advocate right here, because I like what you say. Relying on that person is like your religion, because you put belief into God, into Islam, into fucking Holocaust. You put belief into that and you rely on that. So, yeah. Then I guess it's, which one would you rather rely on, your government or God? I'm on this side.
learn how to pull yourself up, I think you can be more equipped to go throughout this world in a successful way.
Can't both things be true? I don't feel like liberals are telling people that they need someone to pick them up and that they can't do it for themselves. I think they're saying that there's inequalities in the world and that there's structures in place that put people in a position to where they can't get the life or the things that they want, the things that they deserve, and they can do both at the same time. You can pick yourself up and you can accept welfare. And I think that there's a lot of programs that people have benefited from, even just the ability to feed their kids. It doesn't mean that this mom is all of a sudden going to not work because she's getting welfare.
You're bringing up the exception, buddy. What is the graph called? Graphs. I forgot what graphs it's called, bro. Hey, not this graph, motherfucker. Where is it? Chat, where the fuck is the graph that I'm thinking about? It's a graph of a median, box and whiskers, I think. Hey, see? So right now, the fuck? Hey. I need a... Okay, so here we go. So right here, when we're talking, when we're just generally talking, we are talking about this. And our points, so let's say if you're on the left and you're all about liberal, will be over here. Your points need to be in there. And if you're on conservative, your points need to be over here. Or say, if you say we got one conservative that's a billionaire and he should be paid more on taxes, that's here. That's the exception. A single mother needs food. That's over here. That's an exception. But we're just talking generally speaking, and here, this is where we need to be talking and about the real problems because this is the general people. The people that are over here do not count for the people over here. These people are the normal people, what's just most people. They make the normal amount of pay. They're the people that we need to be looking after. Our hard workers are here. Our entrepreneurs, our successful entrepreneurs and successful workers are over here. And extreme hard workers as well. And wealthiness is over here. But the people that just work hard, get paid enough, work hard, and we need to look after them. As well as look after these people mostly. Doesn't mean de-tax all the people in the top. But yeah, I can understand their point in that.
He already has 2 or 3 jobs.
Talking from my own experience, I think.
Let's say you had 2 free jobs. Fucking in New Zealand, buddy. How much hours is 2 to 3 jobs? What do they mean? I've worked 2 jobs before. Let's just say 60 hours. 60 x 23.15. So you're getting for $1,389 minus tax. So they are getting 1,100 per week. Minus rent 600. Minus food 200. Minus, I don't know, gas. Minus, like, they have plenty of money. Wait, let me go back. Because I swear that they're wrong. Let's do minus 17.5% equals. Bruh, my math is not adding up. Minus 17.5%. 700 minus 600 rent. Boom. Minus 200. Boom. Food. Minus 50. Gas. Boom. Minus, I don't know, another 50. Boom. And minus fucking new uniforms. Oh. Boom. So $145 left over. That's more than me. Shit, bruh. Sub right now, bruh. Fucking hell. Buddy, if you don't subscribe right now, I'ma catch you lacking. Plenty of money. They're working 3 jobs.
I think if I'm being told, as I was, that I am oppressed and that there are systems against me, I am not going to have the same capabilities of lifting myself up from that if I'm maintaining the mindset that I am oppressed and that I can't do something. Instead of saying that I could have done better, I'll be like, oh, the system's against me. I am
I feel like black people are told not that. They're told they have to work twice as hard, so they do. I don't think that black people don't try because they're told that they're
A white man works 40 hours, twice as hard, 80 times 23.15. What's a minimum wage USA? Can I just get a number, please? God, eh? USA to NZ dollars. Ugh. You niggas a berg. You guys are the land of opportunity. Richest country in the world. All I know is that you can make 23.15. That's not what I make though.
oppressed. I think that they are told that you're going to have to do more because of discrimination.
Yeah, I think in terms of like, compassion.
All different cultures all ended up in the same exact area. There's no discrimination here. That's just a point, but yeah.
And I think that like on the right, there's more like a tough love kind of thing where it's like you have to do this for yourself. We can't do this for you, but we want to encourage you to like take initiative and you can be whatever you want to be. And I think, on the left, it's like, well, we need to help everybody to, realize their full potential. I think both of those things can be compassionate in different ways. And I think to a certain degree you need both
Yeah,
mentalities.
exactly.
Like I think we need to find middle ground and say that both sides are finding compassion, I guess, in their.
I'ma create the middle ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if I told you that instead of setting up a green screen, you can just click a button in Descript and get the same exact effect? So I have my project here, and as you can see, my background is not very pretty. All I have to do is select my layer in the
Fuck up,
canvas,
nigga.
then go to the...
Changing sides was traumatic.
Chat, let's watch a different one.
Oh my God!
Let's watch Republicans.
Kind of causing people to want to vote for him, and a lot of moderates are saying it now as, oh, he is strong, and like what he went through, like he can go through anything, So a lot of moderates now are leaning towards wanting
The
to
fuck? Set. My bad. It's the
vote for him, and it's kind of scary. Yeah, he was shot, but let's call it what it is. It was an attempted assassination, which failed.
pretty
obviously
shit.
by a liberal, because Republicans would know how to shoot guns.
That's not true. It was a Republican.
That is not true.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Thomas Matthew Crooks.
I'll go ahead.
Donated to
Act Blue, so.
Okay.
He donated January 20th, 2021, and then he registered as a Republican September.
Yeah, because
2021.
that's because to create a narrative. If you're a school shooter or whatever, an assassination.
Yeah, this is the old
Yeah, that's why he wore a shirt. He wore a shirt called Demolition.
Party does not matter when you
This
put out
has
a
been
video
plan
saying
for
he hates
3
Donald Trump.
Yeah. It's an assassination.
Yeah,
Robert,
meditating.
you don't think you don't.
Regardless of
no,
the
no, no,
motives,
let me
he
just
was shot.
Wait. So I woke up as a Republican, watching him for 3 years. I decided today I'm gonna get a gun out and shoot him. Let's just think with a little bit of logic here. That there can be pre-planning behind it. I don't know. I'm getting educated right now. Let's just think with a little bit of pre-planned logic here.
You don't think a person that is a murderer or an attempted murderer probably has fantasized about it for longer than 3 years?
No, people do stuff
He's
like that
probably
on a
killed animals. I'm
whim.
just saying, if you're going to be a shooter, you're probably fantasizing.
No,
about shooting
people do
somebody.
that stuff on a
So
whim.
yeah, I
all
would
the
say that
time.
it would make sense.
All the time. When's the last time a fucking president got shot? Why would you, on a random day, just decide to shoot the president? Why would... Why would you decide to shoot the president on a random day for following him 3 years? Just on a random day. Were you just angry? Were you just mad? Wait, let me cook. Maybe Trump used it as a marketing plan because he hit his ear and there was multiple bullets. It's very hard to miss. Maybe it was a marketing strategy. I'm a liberal now.
Probably thought about killing somebody for over 3 years.
I mean, yeah, probably killing somebody,
Exactly,
but
you
it's
agree with
not
me.
like.
Okay, let's let Emily finish her point. Let's let Emily.
I'm very well known. I do common sense takes. Okay, left, right, doesn't matter. You tried to assassinate someone. I'm gonna safely say you don't like that person. Okay, you're probably on the opposite team. Other than that, yes, I intake a lot of news. It's what we all do for a living. Everyone woke up. I see all the stats, everything going up. We vote on, who's going to win, all these things. Every single person with a brain is like, he just won. So yes, I do think this changes things. That's all.
Yeah, the way that it changes it, though, is that it validates a
Oh, hey,
very
nappy.
falsified argument that Biden wants to go after his political opponents. Okay, well, Tulsi Gabbard said it on Bill Maher recently. Okay, so Republicans are propagating that theory that Biden wants to go after political opponents and he wants to promote political violence, right? And obviously you're already saying that he was a liberal.
Propaganda when
so
Biden said that Trump needs to be put in a bullseye 5 days ago?
5 days ago.
say that?
Yeah, when did
He tweeted it.
It's on his Instagram right now as well.
took it down.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course they took it down.
Great.
Real convenient, but I don't know if that's propaganda.
But I want to ask this question, Danny, and it's like saying, yeah, my girlfriend goes to another school. When you say your friends feel empowered by this, just admit that you feel empowered from that video, seeing his
No, I
fist.
don't at all.
You're telling me you didn't
No, I
get
think it's
any sense of
embarrassing.
pride
No, I
after
saw
getting
that.
shot, standing.
It is it's embarrassing that you come dressed like that. That's what's embarrassing. Should be dressed like my bro right here. Should go blue. It's kind of nice. Like, it's just monkey brain.
Up, raising your fist, saying fight.
Is it bad for me
Now,
to
monkeys
say
are smart.
I'm
You don't
kind of
like that
happy
at
it
all?
kind of happened? I don't
That's
know.
bad. Yes.
You're happy someone almost died. You're part of the problem.
Yeah.
Here's why
Danny, wait, hold it, bring to you. You're happy that.
I'm not happy what happened
You just
at
said
the
I'm
rally.
kind of happy that
I
happened.
mean, yeah, I hate Trump.
Yeah,
I hate Trump.
So
Maybe
much
it
so you.
scared him.
Okay, but what's going on in your life that you would wish murder or death upon somebody?
I don't wish that he died.
But you just said that you'd be happy if he did.
I'm
I don't
glad
condone-
he
I don't
didn't
condone
die,
violence, but I
okay?
hope I
I'm
see
sure someone out there loves him very
wait,
much.
hold on, Alex, repeat that
Wait,
again.
I want you guys to both say this out loud very clearly. to
Wait,
the
what did you
camera.
just say?
I said I don't condone violence, but I hope I see something.
What does that mean?
It means that Trump got it coming to him. He's been saying this shit for years and
I hope
years
you guys get a nice
years.
position so you can
There's
say
bound to be some point where a Republican or a Democrat, somebody loses their shit and says, I'm not happy with the president saying all this all the time.
I'm not happy with you saying this. Does that mean I'm gonna just schmeek? I need to turn this shit off.
I'm not happy with him trying to destroy democracy. I'm not happy with him trying to destroy the American dream. That's how my generation feels. That's how plenty of people in the city feel. That's how plenty of people in this county feel. That's how 70 million people.
We're gonna go and kill people.
Do you condone?
Yes, that's exactly what happens all the time in America.
Do you condemn the Trump shooter and do you condemn political violence?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, good. So here's why this changes everything. It is because we just saw an image of our president, somebody that has been politically persecuted for years. He was he was impeached twice. I was there in Battle Creek, Michigan, on the night of his second impeachment. This is a man, and you may not agree with it, but what you just said is that you hope something happens. And when Republicans hear that, when conservatives hear that, that does validate that people want violence. And,
Well, somebody from the Heritage Foundation just said that they want a bloodless revolution so long that the left doesn't
wrong,
have it.
and that is wrong. That is completely wrong. And what you just said
But
is
these
wrong.
are the people, these are the pundits that you're
and the
relying
reason-
on.
I don't rely on them. You don't know anything about me. You don't know what I watch. You don't know who I listen to. You don't know where I get my.
Well, let me. What did?
And I want to finish really quick. The reason why this changes everything is because we just saw a man who was politically persecuted. He was shot,
Made him
and
cook.
the first instinct was to get up, bloodied, beaten, raise his fist, and tell his supporters to fight. Whether or not you agree with that, there is something in that image that resonates with a lot of Americans, and it displays courage, it displays bravery, and a lot of moderates, who you probably disagree with, that is going to resonate with them too.
And he said that knowing full and well those could be his final words. He didn't know what happened. When you're in a state of shock like that, when something like that happens to you, he knew those could be his final words. He's going to go and tell his supporters to fight. See, this is the problem.
The blood
You
gang?
guys incite violence.
Is it like the
We
blood
don't
brother and
incite
sister?
violence.
January 6th then.
Charlottesville.
January 6th was okay.
You just said that it started.
100 million Americans are pissed off right now. We just saw our favorite president get shot on national television. Where are the riots? No, I see peaceful support outside of Trump Tower in New York. I see peaceful support all across the country. Social media exploding, Elon Musk endorsing him. That's how we protest. How you guys protest?
When the last convicted felon got shot, George Floyd, you guys rioted. When our convicted felon got shot, peaceful protest.
Okay, let's bring on the disagreeers. You guys.
Damn, that's look you. I like that. I like him. And he's dressed normal, bro. He's on the cover.
Wanna come on in?
This nigga like in a holiday.
We're gonna hear from them first, and then y'all can
go after y'all
jump in.
online hard.
You know, for a minute there, I thought to myself, I thought people who dealt in Earth One facts were coming today.
Gee, bro's been rubbing his fucking head for ages. That shit is red.
You know, look, I categorically reject all kinds of political violence against all people.
Nah.
I see you readying your next line for your Tucker Carlson audition tape. Hold on to
Tucker
it.
Carlson's my biological stepdad. Go ahead.
Oh, excellent. Okay, so you didn't have to practice it. I'm
My
just giving you shit.
bloodline.
I'm just teasing. Look, nobody really wants to see a president assassinated. There's a small, tiny minority of people who might, but most everyday
Two right in front of you.
Americans, don't want to see political violence at all. I think were I someone who wanted to use every possible opportunity to improve my electoral chances, I probably would run with a ball that was thrown to me that would make me look like a martyr. But I gotta say, you know, none of us represent the people who are gonna make this election either way. We all have strong opinions. We all consume political news before 6 weeks out from election day. None of us are qualified to speak to the people who will decide this election. But to be clear, I don't think it helped him necessarily just because it's not anywhere near the craziest thing that's probably going to happen between now and November. I think people take for granted that, you know, this is early July. Months will pass. All kinds of crazy things have happened early in previous election cycles that mattered not by election day. So, you know, do what you will with your, I assume you genuinely mean arguments about people on the left being more violent than the right, but at the end of the day, to the actual prompt being asked, no.
Alright. Oh. It'll work.
No, I don't think it will impact the election ultimately.
I have a really simple question. What do you think about
Before we
somebody on your side?
rebuttal, let's hear from all the disagreeers, then we can jump in.
Yeah, I mean, I'll build on that. I think we're too far out from the election for people's memories to retain this. Things move quickly.
It's less than 4 months.
Yeah, 4 months is an eternity. What were you doing 4 months ago? Do you even remember?
I know exactly what I was doing.
I don't think I'll forget.
Well, anyways, the point is the news cycle moves so quickly that people are inundated with new things.
But
and
the
4 or 5
picture's gonna
things.
be in text,
Hold on.
though.
Let him finish.
Hold on.
Let him finish.
4 or 5 things are going to happen between now and then that overshadow this. And the saddest thing that I'll say in conclusion is we're hard into gun violence. This really wasn't that big of a deal in the end. Sadly, I hate to say it, but a guy dying in the crowd, 2 people critically injured, and ex-president of the United States nicked in the ear by a bullet should be a big deal. But gun violence is so prevalent in America that people are going to shrug this off. Watch in 2 weeks. Nobody will be talking about this.
Do you think gang violence in Chicago is the same as the former president of the United States almost being murdered?
Can you repeat that?
You're saying that that shootings happen all the time, so it's not that big of a deal. Do you think that the common gun violence that we see in this country, right, shootings happening in inner cities, is the same or equivalent to the former president almost being assassinated?
No, but I think the shock of gun violence is what is similar, and people have become hardened to it.
And the way that the media treats the shooter, I mean, it's the same narrative that everybody's trying to build off of. What kind of gun was he using? He was 20 years old. He went to school. He was a loner. Like, everybody submits all these tips saying they knew him. That, like, it's getting the same treatment as any other mass shooting.
Wait, really quick. Wait, I have a really quick question.
I want him to, because he hasn't asked a question.
I just want to say, what's your name again?
Guy.
Guy. It's a good name, Guy.
Thank you.
You said people are going to forget about this, but you know what memes are, right?
Sure.
You don't think Donald Trump raising his fist, being shot, will be a meme that lives longer than all of us combined?
No.
What happened to his mugshot? That's still around.
What do you don't think that'll be? Wait, you don't think that'll?
I don't think it was that iconic of a moment. I think you guys are blowing it a little out of proportion.
That's fine.
So what happened with Reagan?
What do you two think about your guy on your side here saying that he hopes something happens?
I would condemn that. Yeah.
Good for you guys. That's the
good,
moral.
because
By the way, he's not saying he hopes. He says he has it coming to him, but based on.
No, he said he
don't
wants something to happen.
You can roll back
He wants something to happen.
Okay, I would actually like you to, can you clarify what
clarify
you
it, dude.
by that?
Yeah, you're gonna have a knock at your door. You better clarify. That's gnarly.
There's some point where all of this is going to start boiling over, right? There are people on my side that get very violent, that get very vitriolic with their comments, right? I went to UCLA, and I'm seeing that we have a lot of students who get very in their minds about their politics, about wanting to protect Gaza, about wanting to make sure that their voices are heard from the left in the Democratic Party. The same thing happens with you guys, though. So we have extremists on both sides that are going to come at some point.
That's not the same.
Boil it over.
That's not has nothing to do with it. You said you want something to happen.
Because I want this shit to be over.
Wait, can I make a quick comment?
Politics. Why would you wish death on him? He doesn't wish death.
I never wish death on him.
You said you hope something happens.
You hope something happens.
But what is that something? I hope that there's some sort of political boil over, right? We're edging to a point where there's going to be some kind of civil war. There's going to be some kind of like interstate violence. That's happening.
All right,
so you're hoping for violence.
Inciting violence.
Robert E. Lee over here.
I hope that we break the point. I hope that we break the dam where we don't have to keep fighting about policies and whether or not we have conspiracy theorists in government. I hope that we get to the point where we're done with all of it and we can get through this antebellum era.
Does the fact that the two people on your side, reflected and said that that's going too far, does that make you reflect on your words and think that maybe you took it too far?
No.
As a Republican, in my life, I talk to thousands of people a day. I have never heard a Republican ever say they want Biden to die, okay?
I have.
Okay.
Oh my
whoa. This is my opinion, okay? It's not your opinion, it's mine I'm sharing right now. I'm sure you have, and I'm sure that's normal, and I guarantee right now Republicans have said that. Guaranteed, okay? I talk to thousands of people a day. All my friends are Republicans. I've never heard a Republican I know personally wish death or harm against Biden. We simply want him to not be president anymore, okay? Today I woke up, I mean, let's just talk about the past 8 years. Everyone on the left wishes death upon Trump.
That's
or
not
harm.
true.
Well, I just want to make this quick point.
I don't.
And I don't like Biden at all, but I felt very sad when he fell off his bicycle.
Yeah, I feel bad for him. It's elder abuse.
Why are you doing that?
Why are you doing that?
I'm just telling you, I felt sad for our country.
How
I was
many
like, look at this
Republicans
old man
actually
falling
feel
off.
I know, we all feel bad.
I feel bad.
It's literally elder abuse.
When I watch it,
Well, all right, I'll grant you that one wasn't a non sequitur to get away from the point, but that fair.
When
That
he
one
fell off
rests.
that bicycle, I felt sad. I was like, that's our president.
Sure,
And
Alex.
I know, I'm dead serious. If I felt that.
And he walks
Aren't you impressed he's riding a bike at 80 years old?
Okay.
He's not riding it.
Wait,
time out.
Okay,
He's not riding it. He's
hold on.
falling over on it. That's
All right.
If he was riding it,
got
that
to the
would've been cool.
bicycles.
He fell over on it.
That's why I know we're going to wrap
That's
up
the
this
opposite
problem.
of riding.
All right, we're wrapping up this problem. We got to bicycle. A convicted felon should not become president. Will the agreeers please step forward?
So last year, we released Video GPT, which allows ChatGPT users to turn their text prompts into a fully generated AI video in just a matter of seconds. It turned out you guys absolutely loved it and single-handedly made it one of the most popular and trending GPT.
Shut the fuck up.
12 strangers came off the street, New York City, came together and ruled unanimously, looking at the facts, being as honest as they can be, that this guy was guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And I think we have so many qualified people to be president of the United States that we don't have to have somebody who has that sort of record. And also, he might be in prison. People find that laughable, but those are the same people who thought he would never be indicted, same people who thought they would never raid his home. So I think America can do better.
You know, I think as an abstract rule, there's no reason to back somebody who is a felon, even if we don't think they deserved it, to be president. There are hundreds of millions of us. We're the richest, most diverse nation in the history of the world. We have more experience with democracy than any other existing democracy. There's just no need for that. And I think what I suspect our friends on the other side are going to come and suggest is that, it's not fair to him, he's being unjustly persecuted and all that jazz. If a Democrat that I thought was great, were unjustly, in my view, persecuted, found guilty, I would also be someone who stood up and said, I don't care if I thought you didn't do it. You're a felon now. We have other people. There are so many people on the Republican side who are talented and capable and would be great presidents. There's no reason to stick to the one who, has a loyal but minority of the population fan base that is hardcore about him, when, there are some really incredible Republicans that would be great presidents. And I think like Nikki Haley, for instance, would be a great president by comparison.
No.
By comparison. By comparison.
Okay, by comparison, yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
That's exactly what I was
You
going to
wouldn't.
say, too. I think that there's a lot better classical Republicans that, much better politicians than Trump. Trump is not a politician by any means. So there's a lot more qualifying people in the GOP that
You
should,
are?
take over.
You are? Is she one? Do politicians usually dress like this? I don't know.
Over that position.
Or
they
whatever
should not
this
have a
fucking
felon
thing
be
is.
able to run for president. It's kind of embarrassing, actually.
Like I miss the McCains. I miss the Romneys. Like good-natured
Good classical
people.
Republicans.
It's not even classical, because at this point it was just, that's what Republicans were. That's what they are supposed to be. At this point, the GOP has been overtaken by a lot of fascist rhetoric.
Yes.
And it dilutes every single message that they have for making an effective president. The question is whether or not they would have agreed if Trump wasn't a felon right now.
You said effective president. Just look at the 4 years compared to Donald Trump coming after the COVID crisis. Or was it during the COVID crisis? Then look at the 4 years of Joe Biden. Just look at that.
If there was no criminal prosecution, if there was no case about hush money or whatever, and there was no chance of him becoming a felon, they probably would still come up here and agree.
I'm reminded of Al Franken, who was one of the most popular Democratic senators when he was in office. He was one of the best messengers for the Democratic Party, and widely considered a talented, capable, and accomplished senator. But decades prior, he did some embarrassing things, and the Democrats pushed him out of the Senate. Honestly, Democrats, we eat our own all the time. It's a problem we have, but we do have a record of removing people who have a problematic reputation from office. It's a thing that we do. At the end of the day, I think there's a big difference between we think this person is a criminal but they're not convicted versus this person's a convicted criminal. Those are not the same thing, and there's a false equivalence, I think, awaiting us in the wings on this.
I'm going to bring on the disagreeers.
Can I go first so I can just be done?
Sure.
My ex used to say that to me.
Yeah, literally. First of all, you said that you actually
Cap.
potentially were wrong and apologized about some things, so amazing. I wish people I used to be friends with would just say, hey, Emily, maybe you were right about a couple things, and I would take them back with loving open arms, because it's I understand. Okay? The irony of being we're the moral party after you are all excited. You two specifically are very excited about assassination is just the funniest thing in the world to me. Nikki Haley is a Democrat. We all know that. That's probably why you guys are more inclined to maybe like her.
She cheated on her husband.
And other than that,
Supposedly.
Other than that, it is funny to sit here and be like, I miss the good old politicians like, you know, the Clintons, who everyone just ends up dead around them. Obama, who committed many war crimes and loved, you know, carpet bombing children. And, you know, when he's not getting blown in the White House, all these really great people we used to have in office. Of course, I think there's a complete double standard.
Nobody said any of what you just said.
Who has something on the prompt specifically about the
Well, you know, first of all, you
convicted felons should
you
our
guys
president?
are obviously very racist for saying that because 1/3 of all black African American men have a felony conviction. So
Are we going to just, is it okay for people to throw out the racist word in this debate? Is that,
That's not
are we
racist.
considering that?
You're the racist because you want 1/3
I would
of black people
never
not
accuse you
eligible
of being
for...
racist, my friend.
Well, then why are you so against people having a felony? America's built
I'm not,
on
no.
Let me just say this. America's built on second chances. A lot of people make mistakes.
Sure.
So a person, whether they get arrested or not, I want to live in a world where we give second chances. So you say somebody gets arrested and they should be negated from having any public office.
No.
I think that's what you said.
I would love to go into detail if you want to. I would love to go into detail.
Let's try and avoid an attacking.
I'm not trying to
other,
personally
right?
attack.
No, you
saying
already
that
did. You
they're
called us
racist.
racist.
Well, I'm saying that, I guess.
As a rhetorical flourish, but it's too much, and you need to be a little more respectful of other people.
Okay, but still, you might still be racist. I don't know you.
Why is Barry getting sensitive?
That well. My point is, you're trying to exclude a big population of the country that are African Americans from running for office, and I think that's, you know, a disrespect.
Well, neither. Well, all right.
Well, here's why I don't think it's disqualifying. I think it would be one thing if Donald Trump was convicted of, say, taking foreign bribes and benefiting from foreign countries as a result of his office. This is more or less business improprieties, and he was convicted on 34 counts. Can any of you list 4 of those convictions and articulate specifically why those charges disqualify a man from being an effective leader?
Yes. Falsifying business records.
To commit a campaign violation and hide information from the American people voting for him in 2016.
No, what's interesting is you're bringing that up. He was also the inciting the riot at January 6th, right?
He didn't
You guys,
incite it.
yes,
Did
he
anybody
did.
answer
Yes,
my
he
question,
did.
or are
And
you
you
moving
guys are
on? I would love
saying
to.
you don't support political violence
So
because
what
of what
happened?
just
We said
happened at Trump's
peacefully-
rally, right? You guys are
Peacefully
attacking
and
us
patriotically, you never said that?
because
Oh, okay.
you guys are attacking us because we think, yeah, it's a tragedy what happened at his rally recently.
You didn't
but
say
you
that?
guys don't say anything about what happened on January 6th, and you guys think that's okay. And you
No,
guys aren't
I don't
recognizing
think
that
that's
Trump
okay
did.
at all.
January
Right now,
6th
that's
said that.
done.
Well, what about Paul Pelosi? I'm sure,
Wait, hold on.
Alex,
Who
you were
said
quite
that?
sympathetic when he was almost
I thought
killed,
it was
right?
funny that he was...
Oh, you thought it was funny that he was almost killed in
He wasn't
political
almost
violence.
killed.
Wait, one second.
Bludgeoned with a hammer by an
Emily,
Stop.
you were
wasn't
sympathetic.
almost killed.
I have a question.
I don't want
You
anyone
just made a claim. You just made a claim that we said nothing about political violence.
Right, if we're all over talking, no one's gonna
Okay.
be able to hear anything.
That was one of Trump's convictions, right or wrong.
Why is this-
You made a
Inciting,
claim that we said that that was
inciting a
okay.
riot.
When did somebody say that?
Because you are attacking us. Because yes, you did. You guys attacked us. You're saying that we want Trump to be assassinated.
You said it yourself.
did say
No,
that.
no, we did not. We
You
can play
said you
back.
wanted
We play
something
back
to
the tape because
happen.
we
We'll play
didn't
back.
explicitly
back.
say
Play
that.
back.
No, we did not
You
explicitly
said
say
you
that.
wanted something to happen.
Yeah.
And then you
That
said-
doesn't
and then
mean
you
I
said-
want him
You
to
keep it so
die.
vague. I just
Yeah,
want to say,
it's
because
smart.
it's so vague, you could include an attack
That
on a
could be me
person.
just saying I want him to lose. I don't want him to be an office.
Say that then.
They don't have the balls.
Look, how many people can go back into the video, you know? But let's stick on to the prompt right now, specifically about should a convicted felon be able to become president?
Yeah.
You haven't spoken. Did you want to
I
say
will
something on that?
100% Go for it. Yeah. So I don't think it's justifiable. Again, when they say he incited violence, I will wait for one person to tell me how he incited violence. When he said peacefully and protest, peacefully and patriotically, that is complete peace. He's asking for
January
peace.
6th was
And when he said
peaceful.
anyone who supports me, stop. Don't riot. Don't march. Don't trash the Capitol. He said that on his Twitter. He put it out for all his supporters to see.
Three hours
so
after
honestly,
this.
I think and that was not 3 hours. And I think if someone supports him and they did that, they're not a supporter because he's the one advocating against it. And I have never, and you guys can say you have or whatever. I have never met a single person who agrees with me and truly supports him that agree with January 6th. Not one.
Wait, so then why does he want to start pardoning people that were convicted of being at January 6th?
Because it was an inside job. They were let in. I I mean, they got.
They were let in. What's your
because I have
box with
friends-
buttons that have.
I have
you haven't
friends
seen-
who are in
Wait,
jail right now.
Bo,
It's
calm
an
down.
inside job, but he wants to pardon them.
Did you guys
so
not
he's pardoning people that he would be against as a false flag attempt for it being an inside job?
Donald Trump requested more. He requested backup and security, and Nancy Pelosi denied it.
That is
No,
that
and
is
because-
absolutely.
and
There's
because-
no tips on
She admits that. Pelosi admits that on tape.
Yeah, it's
No, it's because
that's out
my
of
mom.
context.
How is Pelosi in charge of security at the Capitol? Shouldn't Mitch McConnell be in charge? Like, what doesn't make
It's
sense?
because my mom was put on a terrorist watch list for being there and doing her job. She's a porter. She was there doing her job, and she was put on a terrorist watch list. Now, why tell me how that's justified?
So did your mom enter the Capitol?
My mom didn't go within 2,000 feet of the
So
Capitol.
just so I'm clear, your mother is a journalist with an existing publication, or what does that mean?
She does. She works for Real America's Voice.
So she was charged with trespassing, and she didn't go within 2,000 feet?
No.
Sounds like
those charges are going to be dropped.
Yeah, it shouldn't be, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
What about all the people that
So the friends that I have also who are currently in jail right now, who had January 6th and didn't go in the Capitol,
they didn't
and
go
they're
to
put
the
in
Capitol
jail.
either.
They didn't.
What did they do? What are they
Nothing.
charged with?
I'd love to know.
You have no idea.
So
Well,
they don't know
I'd love to
Do you
know.
think that, Juan, I have a quick question. Do you think the justice system is fair 100% of the time?
No, it never has.
Do you think that there can be major failures in the justice system?
Of course.
Do you think the
Is
justice
it,
system
is it possible,
weaponized?
Juan, is it possible, is it in the realm of possibilities that Donald Trump's political opponents weaponize the justice system against him? Is that a possibility?
No. Let me
Short
say.
answer, no.
It was
Short
until
answer, no.
it was.
So no.
Hold on.
Why is that not possible?
Okay. Is it possible that they could? Sure. Is it possible that his convictions so far,
I
the
don't
other
like
things he's
that
charged
argument
with, are that? No.
from my team.
Why is that impossible?
I don't like that.
Because
It's mid.
it's verifiably, provably things that he did. I mean, it would be look, if I murdered somebody and he murdered somebody, but people at the Justice Department hate me and not him, and they prosecute me and not him, I still murdered. It doesn't matter. It doesn't.
So the felon conviction doesn't matter, is what you're saying?
No, I'm saying it doesn't. It's not about whether it was. We can try and frame his conviction as some kind of inconsistent, unfair prosecution, but the fact is he did do it.
Well, you just said, so that proves the point, that the conviction status doesn't matter, what you did matters.
Yeah,
That's
well,
what you're
being
saying.
convicted of it matters, yes.
Once you're
'Cause didn't
convicted.
you just say that it doesn't matter if you're convicted or not, you still did
No,
it?
what I'm saying is if I were convicted and he also did the same thing but wasn't, I'm still guilty. I still deserve to be convicted. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Well, do you guys think Hunter Biden was guilty and deserves his conviction? That's
Not
what's
really.
outstanding?
No,
not
actually,
really.
yeah, I don't
Really?
think so. No. I don't think. I think you should be able to.
I think
own a
I think he
gun.
deserves to be convicted for trafficking and for drug use and hiring
But he hasn't been
prostitutes.
charged with any of that.
But not lying on.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point.
Right, that's a good point.
Well, if there was evidence, he'd be charged. I've never seen anything to.
Well, like you guys, I think the justice system isn't always fair as well. I think that politics gets involved. I think people abuse their elected positions or their given positions.
But do you guys respect those 12 strangers that came together in New York, looking at all the evidence, including a guy on Truth Social, and finding him guilty? You still deny that he committed those crimes.
Because, like I said, I think the justice system isn't fair 100% of
But
the
it's
time.
not the justice.
I think politics can get involved.
But these are 12 strangers. They're jurors looking at the evidence and deciding beyond a reasonable doubt that he's guilty of the crime he was.
I don't know if you've ever met the average American, but think about the stupidest person you know.
They're much dumber.
And the average, and then go lower than that. There are
I'm
plenty
not
of
sure I
people in this
understand
country.
my argument.
fellow
There are
Mark.
plenty of people in this country that I do not trust, 100%.
You know that in Manhattan, these are people who earn a lot of money, usually the higher type.
Okay, let me just ask you.
How much money earned
okay,
doesn't make you
why.
more logical.
These are
or less.
successful people.
Has 12 jurors ever got it wrong in a court case before?
Sure.
Of course.
There you go.
There you go.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, look.
There you go. That's
So,
all I need to say.
so your argument, just so I'm clear, is that because it's possible the jurors got it wrong, we should assume he's not guilty.
No.
First of all, even if he did pay off Stormy Daniels, Bill Clinton paid off tons of.
That's not what
girls.
he was. No, that's not. No.
Yes, they are.
The payoff was not what he was.
And
no.
also,
Let me
your
just say this because I
Supreme
can't ever
Court-
talk.
It doesn't matter. Your
can.
Supreme Court ruling that does not
This is
absolute
stupid because I'm trying to
Let him
tell
talk.
facts.
Let
And
him
you're
talk.
like,
Last point.
nanny boo-boo. It's just annoying. You guys, listen, Michael Cohen even admitted that he lied to Trump on the stand. Michael Cohen's the one that paid Stormy Daniels. So you could say that maybe he did this behind Trump's back. So I think there is a bit of reasonable doubt there in the court case,
Yeah, what did
which
do-
should have made him not guilty. Now, you don't agree with that, but I think that's the case here. But even if he did do that, there's so many presidents that do much worse. Barack Obama dropped a drone strike every 20 minutes for 8 years. Once you become president, you get presidential immunity. Listen, you know, even if he is convicted of those crimes, those are white-collar crimes that don't really affect anybody.
Even if you don't agree, can you understand why Americans who have been unfairly or unjustly, targeted by the justice system, can you understand why they wouldn't think that Trump being convicted is a big deal and why they would almost be emboldened by it and want to support him?
I mean, yeah, without further qualification, generally, at least somebody, sure.
Can you guys
Yeah,
understand
definitely.
even if you don't?
I can understand why people would rally behind him and think he's innocent and support him. Sure.
Okay.
Fair enough.
I don't think
Very
they're.
cool.
I don't think they're dumb. I don't think they're.
Let's move on to the next prompt, everybody. Thank
Let's
you.
do it.
Hey, before we go any further, we want to take a moment to say thanks so much to Straight
2025.
Whatever Dad's into, you can nail Father's Day at Bunnings.
Please don't scroll. Listen to me. My name is Hiba from Gaza, and I'm supposed to be studying for my medical school final exams these days. But rather than that, I'm sitting here in Anunu Rochelle.
Project 2025, this is a clear agenda that's been outlined by people that are involved in the Trump administration. Defunding the Department of Justice, dismantling the Department of Housing and Urban Development, getting rid of the Department of Commerce, getting rid of NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, making sure that you have Schedule F, so every single civil service employee becomes a political appointee. That removes a lot of the non-biases that are within the government as an institution to keep it functioning. And there's so much hypocrisy that goes into that. They want to bring back impoundment, which makes it so that the Office of Management and Budget can just completely obliterate any congressional authorization or appropriation to make sure that the president has say over how the budget is spent, when that is not the president's job. They have an Office of Management and Budget to make sure that the money gets where it needs to. And impoundment was made illegal by Congress in 1974 when Nixon tried it. They want to bring that back and make it under a Republican Congress and with a Republican president, make it law of the land. And it's so hypocritical seeing them cite Federalist number 47 and say, tyranny happens when the job of the executive, the legislative, and the judicial is all under one branch. That's why we want to make sure that the legislative doesn't have access to appropriations, which is their constitutional mandate.
That's true. In my lifetime, the Supreme Court made it illegal for two people of the same gender to be arrested for having sex in the privacy of their home. So when I see things in Project 2025 that talk explicitly about emphasizing nuclear families with one mother and one father, when I see
Can't
actually
relate.
goes into great detail about the low-key, covert ways of disempowering, like dismantling the rights and privileges that LGBTQ people have fought for the last 30 years. I find that really scary, and it also goes into great detail about how to limit, curtail, and ultimately do away with abortion, access to birth control. My grandma was a
Access to birth control. Abortion. Don't have sex. Don't stick a dick in you. Stay home. Don't put yourself in bad environments. You see it in the movies, you get drugged at the clubs. I still go to the clubs. Like, pretty simple fix. Don't have sex. And don't have sex.
feminist, and I'm kind of glad she didn't make it this far because she would be petrified at the.
Sex is like a privilege. It's like you can't afford birth control, so don't have sex. Wait until you can afford it. It's pretty simple. Street.
It's totally cool for women's sake to choose to live a life by conservative values. It's unacceptable to impose conservative values on women. And the same is true for LGBTQ people. The same is true for all of us. And there's no version of reality where a second Trump administration does not do all of those things. Like, to his point, 80% of the people who worked on Project 2025 are former appointees. So, I hope we're not going to disagree in a minute about whether or not Project 2025 is the thing, because it is. And I am not a dogmatic person. I like to be pretty level-headed, but I am genuinely, I feel like my safety could be compromised to the extent that I have to leave as a queer person if he wins and is able to do what he has plainly and his movement have plainly promised to do.
Yeah, I mean, I'll echo what these guys have said. I think Roe v. Wade being overturned is a shock to everybody, and there's more of that in store for us if Donald Trump wins. I don't think it's the end of America as we know it or any sort of hyperbolic thing like that. And I am concerned about certain people because as a straight white guy, I'm probably not going to be impacted by it. But I worry about community, and I worry about these migrants who've come here just looking for another
Yeah, little
chance.
boy.
So I worry our country will take on some serious damage if Donald Trump gets back in there.
It's really scary thinking about what it can do for women. And I'm in a position that because Roe v. Wade was overturned recently and it's...
You find the husband that looks after you and you don't have to work. Yeah, so hard. You don't go to war. Oh, fuck. You don't do the sewage. You don't build the houses. Ah.
And I live in Texas, so having, like, if I were to get pregnant and have a baby and need to have an abortion, if I choose to do so, I'm not able to do that, and they want to push those laws and restrictions on women's bodies even more.
Yeah. You shouldn't be having sex with random people that you don't want to have a kid with.
It's kind of terrifying to think about.
All right, so let's bring on the disagreeers.
One, I'd love to, if we could stop the pity pretend party. Trump is not an anti-LGBTQ president by any means. I mean, this is a man, are you guys gonna ignore Rick Grinnell? You know, he made an ambassador. Are you guys gonna ignore the log cabin Republicans hosting events that I've been at Mar-a-Lago? You know, again, I'm very traditional, me personally. A lot of things in Project 2025 I would agree with, but Trump does not, and that's why he's publicly denounced it. I don't know why everyone's acting like these are all his policies, this is all the things he's gonna implement. It's not even close. And I don't know why you guys are just pretending like it is. It doesn't make any sense to me, but I'd love to know why.
Do you want to speak to the prompt specifically about the country moving too far to the right if he's elected? You don't feel...
I don't. I would love to see us getting, because I think like the family unit is like the most broken thing in America right now. I'd love to see the family unit be fixed and a lot of traditional values be reestablished. And I think we could have America to a much more traditional state where we were thriving. And the Judeo-Christian values that our country was founded upon.
How do you do that? You get rid of gay people?
I gotta say, there's no version of history in America where people like me have thrived, so I would hate to go back.
Yeah, you still
You
thrive.
got a whole month out of the year. Your flag is flown at the White House. Your LGBTQ people are invited over to the White House. They're given positions. Sam Britton, gay people are given positions all of the time because of their
I gotta say, at first I thought you were kidding.
I am very traditional. I am Catholic. I don't agree with same-sex marriage. But I think it's extremely narcissistic for you to say that you would feel unsafe if a more conservative person got into office. As somebody who disagrees with your lifestyle, I could not care less about what you do. You go ahead and go do it, but nobody is threatening your life. I have to say, the country, I'm going to go ahead and finish.
I apologize.
This country has been, Biden has been an extremely progressive, liberal president. And if Donald Trump got in office, the country would absolutely move right, but it wouldn't move too far right. The Overton window has shifted so far left in the last 4 years that a lot of people that are moderate are now being on the right. I mean, you have people like prominent figures like Joe Rogan, who is a self-proclaimed socialist who voted for Bernie Sanders, now saying that he's voting for Donald Trump. And so I think that is a common thing amongst moderates because it has gotten so far left.
Just wait.
And I think being right nowadays just means that you don't want your country overrun with illegal immigrants. You don't want your daughters and sisters raped by people in the bathroom or having trees in their bathrooms. And you want a secure border.
I need to respond to this, and I really appreciate being allowed to finish.
And by the way, I want to just clarify.
Are you
the
done?
raping and killing is I'm talking about not transgender. I'm talking about illegal immigrants.
Understood.
Just to clarify.
So I want to be clear. Sexual orientation is not a lifestyle. It's not a choice. It's not optional. It's not choosable.
What? You can't choose who you have sex with?
You can choose.
I'm gonna crash.
Choose who you have sex with, but you cannot choose who you're attracted to. It is what it is.
I don't know about
Sure.
all
Okay.
that.
You weren't born with it. You weren't born with any attraction in your wearing.
Could you please
That's
right now?
a topic. That's a topic for another day. Back on Julie another time. We'll do that.
Look.
There's gay men that don't have sex. That don't have gay sex.
Would you please
We're not going to go into that.
choose to be attracted to me right now?
No, because you're.
We're not going to go into that, you guys.
I am.
That is another.
Okay, but I would really like to finish. I really like to finish. Look, I understand why you, as someone who has not lived a queer life, would not understand why someone who has would feel really petrified by this moment. And I get it. I realize that it's hard to appreciate other people's experiences when you haven't lived them. And what I resent, to be honest, is that you're not willing to take my word for it. That you seem to think that you know well enough to be able to speak cogently to the experience of people who do feel scared, do feel unsafe.
You're speaking for all those people.
And you know, I appreciate that that there are values that you hold that you would like to see upheld further, and I appreciate that too. But I was an adult when I first had access to a conversation where the word values didn't mean I was kind of only sort of allowed in the room.
I didn't care about your life story, bro.
Say things you've just said, and right after that, talk vaguely about how people like me are a threat to children just by being near them, and
yeah.
And
I don't know, but that's crazy.
I appreciate that you.
But no one here has said that.
No one here has said that, but I want to be clear. The reason why people like me are petrified by what you've said is because I personally, time and time again, and the vast majority of every queer person I've ever known, has lived the experience of a backslide from what you said into something really.
What did I say? Did I disagree?
No, well, one of the things you said was not agreeing with same-sex marriage. That's a thing that's really scary for me. I understand how, as someone who inherently has access to the privilege of being heterosexual, that would not seem like that big of a deal to you, to say. But, you know, LGBTQ people make up less than 10% of the population. Trans people make up a tiny percentage of the population and are among the most vulnerable people in our society.
So we should vote the president off that 10% people?
I gotta say, on behalf of my friends who are trans and non-binary, I'm offended that you would use the word. But to be clear,
fuck trannies.
Semantics.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. It really isn't. Okay, hold on.
Not.
Non-binary person here talking.
Yeah, fair. Yes.
You can't f around by just calling people tranny all the time. Just the same way that you can't walk around and I'm gonna walk out here and someday get called f it just because I look weird. Just because I have.
You don't look that weird. I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't even think you're non-binary.
Shut the fuck up about it. It doesn't matter. What
like
you say really matters.
Free speech.
It really matters for affecting people's mental well-being, for affecting people trying to live a better life. People live in this city because it's a lot better to live here than to live in Oklahoma, Iowa, Kansas, because trans people get murdered. Gay people get murdered. I don't care.
Yeah.
Can I go?
Yeah, let's bring it back to the prompt and yeah.
Okay,
go
the
ahead.
prompt was.
The prompt was
far right.
Trump being elected will take the country too far.
All right.
There we go.
So I try to follow politics all around the world. All the comments I see at this point, I would agree. Far right now is just normal. That's what everyone seems to say. Let's try to find a middle ground here. I am a very, people would call me sellout Republican. I try to be a very modern Republican. I didn't like the Republican Party my whole life. Democrats to me had two winning platforms. Abortion, I'm a pro-choice Republican. It's the worst thing you can be, okay? No one gets more hate in this world than I do. Trust me. They want me dead. And Trump came out and he was like, I will not support a countrywide ban on abortion. I would leave it up to the states. As someone who's pro-choice across the board, if it was me in charge, I would have every state the woman gets to choose, okay? Like I said, Republicans hate that. I know. See, there you go. But that's what I believe as a woman. And it's one of those things where I'm like,
and who cares?
you know, if they made it state by state, and 90% of people in a state wanted that, I don't agree with that. I would move out of the state. I don't like the government interfering on women's bodies, the same with the vaccine. Second winning platform, Democrats out, so that's gone. He's already endorsed that. They don't have the abortion thing anymore. Second winning platform is Project 2025, right? Okay, he came out, it's already on text, paper, tweet, whatever. He said, I do not endorse this. I am not with them. He actually said, I think a lot of these things are freaking nuts.
He also said, I think a lot of these things are okay.
I think a lot of them are okay too, but let's go.
I know.
This is nutty. So it's me very well and my entire family. I love gay people. All my best friends have been gay. All my friends are gay Republicans now. I want gay people to be able to be married. I think that is perfectly fine. I think love is love. And other than that, I'm just like, I don't get religion involved. It's like, do your thing. I just don't think it's fair that they have like special rights that other people don't have. And now it's shoved down. Okay. You know, our veterans get a day. God forbid you post them. You're like a white supremacist.
They actually get a whole month, by the way.
Yeah.
And gay people get a whole
October, I
month.
think. Is it October or May?
And by the way, like I said,
You guys are like pissed if vets get a month. Like,
No, we're not. We're just saying you're bringing up how veterans only have one day, but they get a whole month as well. So what's your point?
And it's purely
They're
symbolic
veteran.
about anything with
Let's let
Pride
her
Month.
finish. Let's let her go ahead.
You sacrificed your life.
I'm like, I'm literally, it's so funny because I'm like, you guys are like so upset, and I'm like, I literally couldn't be more on your team about literally all these things.
You're not though.
Well,
You
here
just
you have one
got
person
upset
that
about.
here you have one person that explicitly supports the LGBTQ, and then you have some person that explicitly doesn't support LGBTQ. But both of us and both, you know, this whole side is saying, do what you want. We're not going to threaten you. We're not going to hurt you.
but
Isn't that proof that there's going to be no
that's not
violence?
what's happening here. That's not
And
what's
by the
happening.
way, I think that self-victimization of any kind is shameful. I wasn't coming at you because you're gay. I think when people make themselves victim of any group, it's shameful.
Is there ever? I just.
So it has
curious-
nothing to do with you being
I want to let you to
So
have.
it has. You think, so you're saying it's not about me being gay? It's that I self-victimized?
Yes.
Okay, that's
Well, and also
a
you
trash
don't
thing to
believe us.
say.
Why do
but
I have to lie? You can go on my Instagram.
But it has nothing to do with your sexual orientation. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, but I'm saying it does. You
telling
don't
you
have
it
to
doesn't.
mean.
Okay.
You don't have to mean to cause harm to cause harm.
We haven't heard from everyone on this team. I'm gonna, take the
so
floor.
I get to say something, okay? And you know, I am empathetic. I have gay family members that I love, but I think you know in gay culture that gay men have more prevalent sex probably than heterosexual relationships. And oftentimes I would be scared too if the relevancy of HIV was much higher if I was sleeping with men. So I understand that fear, and that is a little dangerous. Now, on top of that, when you look at Donald Trump, you say we're going to go far right. Everybody knows Caitlyn Jenner. You guys know Caitlyn Jenner. Well, she's allowed to pee in the women's room. So if
Not
you
in some states.
in all of Mar-a-Lago, so Donald Trump will let a transgender person pee in their bathroom.
And?
So that means that he doesn't dislike trans.
The problem is that the Republican platform does. You
Well,
guys
I
have come
don't
out
know.
here saying it, besides you, that there's a serious problem with LGBTQ.
I don't really think this is the problem.
You agree that it's not going to go more
Okay,
far right. It's the people,
let her
not the
finish.
president.
This is
I think if you have a penis, go in the men's bathroom. If you have a vagina and you have to sit down to go to the toilet, go sit down in the toilet. Fucking hell.
is I don't think anybody really, even on the conservative side, care about people being gay, because there's gay conservatives, obviously. But what's going on now is there's an attack on children now where you have to have a pride flag in first grade. You're teaching sexual education at way too young of an age. And in that sexual education, they're not just teaching you heterosexual sex. They're teaching you gay anal sex. To me, that is called indoctrination. So we don't like the gay indoctrination of young children when you're giving them hormones to reassign their gender that are permanent, that they say that they're not permanent. You're giving kids mastectomies, 14-year-olds. Chloe Cole got a mastectomy. There's a lot of detransitioners. So there's an attack by the LGBTQ community, whatever you want to call it, on young people. If the LGBTQ just wants to do it with adults, I think we'd all be okay with
Wow.
that.
That's the face I made when I saw my first family-friendly drag show. I made the same
Listen,
face.
listen. I want to be real clear about this.
We don't want drag queen story time.
I want to be real clear about this.
I'm loud and clear. We don't
You're
want
not listening. I wish you would.
Go ahead.
Fewer than 10% of people detransition. And the vast majority of those people, I'll let you finish once I'm done. Fewer than 10%, okay? And the vast majority of them specifically report that they do it because of social pressure or being rejected by their family. But let's be perfectly clear. What you call indoctrination, which I consider a bigoted thing to say, and I'll explain why. Hold your gunpowder, I'll explain why. I'll explain why. Part of my journey as a queer person was finding positive role models, which I didn't have. And let's be clear, you conflate a thing that isn't really a thing, indoctrinating kids with anal sex, which is a ridiculous thing to say, with what's actually being banned is permission to acknowledge. In fact, in my home state in Tennessee, I'll let you know when I'm done. In my home state in Tennessee, anybody under the age of 18 who expresses in any way being something other than heteronormative, their school system is required to report it to their parents. And I have to tell you, I would be lucky, look at me, I'm lucky because my parents wouldn't have kicked me out. I'm lucky that my parents wouldn't have sent me to conversion therapy. Listen to me, what I'm telling you, friend, is that there are millions of queer people whose parents would kick them out, send them to conversion therapy, shun them. I have a friend, actually, to whom this happened. He was unable to get in-state tuition.
It's a disability.
His parents refused to fill out the FAFSA for him. And that's a tiny little inconsequential example of the pain that being different from the get causes, and when you do things like conflate some kind of abuse on children by making space for queer people to be acknowledged to exist, which is really all that's happening, you hurt all of us. You want to get into hormone replacement therapy, you want to get into gender affirming care, fine, but I want to be clear, putting a flag in this right now, if we're going to talk about it, we should talk about it, because you do not know what you're talking
Let
about.
me just say one question.
Okay, one last
question.
thing, and then we'll
What
wrap it.
let me say, what percentage of gay men identify as being sexually abused as a child, would you say?
I don't have that in front of me.
Very little.
Oh, give me
That's going to take
Are you suggesting that are you saying that
child sexual abuse causes men to be gay later in life? Yeah, there's
that's a whole other thing.
Can I make
I'll give you a quick 5-second
Okay.
wrap up.
The one statistic I think is the most important is after transitioning, the suicide rate, which is real high.
That is not, that's false.
true.
And I can
You could
prove you
Google
wrong.
that.
I can prove you wrong. I can prove
Transgender
it.
people have the highest rate of suicide.
Because they're the most
Why though?
mentally
That
ill.
is no.
Probably because of
no.
hormones and
I will go get the data for you. You know, you pulled yours. I'd be happy to pull mine. 86% of people who have access to gender affirming care, this is a studied fact, are less likely.
Unfortunately, we do have to move on to the next prompt just because of time reasons. All right, everyone. There should be an
No,
age
gives a
limit.
fuck. That's us. Let's just shrink down. End it on that shit.